Thank you for joining us for this week's message at Crosswind Church. If you have any questions about this message or about Crosswind Church, please visit us at www.crosswindchurch.net, or you can email us at info@crosswindchurch.net.
I'm going to miss it when the series is over. I always do. Like, Matt puts together these great videos and great music, and then I sing it for a month, and then he makes me change. But regardless. Back in brief, I guess about 8 years ago or so, plus or minus a few, I had a lung surgery. I've shared with you guys this before. I had a fungal infection removed from my lung, and it's a pretty big deal. And as a part of that process, they actually cut a nerve that runs across my diaphragm that helps my diaphragm kind of expand and contract and helps me breathe. Breathing being a necessity of life, that's kind of important. And so the surgeon said to us, he said, Jeremy, you're going to be fine. You'll be able to breathe fine. You'll be able to do some limited activity, athletic activity. He said, but you're never going to run a marathon. He said, you're never going to swim in triathlon. Maybe somebody, would hear that and be motivated to go run a marathon. I heard that when I don't have to run anymore. That was what I thought. He did say, though, you can't get out of it completely. As your lungs are rehabbing, we took a piece of your lung out. As you're going through that process of trying to strengthen everything, it would be worthwhile for you to do some cardio work where you go and you get your heart rate up and get your lungs expanding and that sort of thing. So I had a friend of mine that liked to run. Weirdo, I know. And so he told me, he's like, I'm going to make you run. It's for your own good. I'm going to make you go out and run with me. So in the mornings he would get up and he would go run like his regular workout. He'd do like 5 miles in the morning before he was a school teacher, so before school. And then after in the evening, the sun started to go down, he would call me up and I'd have to meet him back up at the school. We had this track that was this trek. It wasn't a track, it was about a trek about 3 miles or so that we would run. And so he made me do that 5 days a week. That was what he called me up and made me do it. And I can remember one day, a few months into it, I would still have to stop some. I still have to walk some because, lung just isn't working right and that sort of thing. But it was particularly hot this day. I mean, it's Alabama. It's humid, and it was just hard. I remember it was so incredibly difficult. And we were just pushing through. And he would always try to encourage me because I ran at a much slower pace than he ran at normally. So he could talk while we were running, and I just was, okay. Anyway, as long as he was cool with me not responding, then we were cool. But he would try to encourage me, come on, you can go just a little bit further, you can do it, you can make it. And he said something on this particular day that has stuck with me. I don't think he realized just what a profound statement it was, but it's a really important statement that has stuck in my head, and I've kept it in there for a long, long time. Here's what he said. He said this, come on, Jeremy, we don't need heroes, we just need finishers. So he said, we don't need heroes, we just need finishers. What he meant was look, I don't need you to have the fastest time. I don't need you to beat me. I don't even need you to run the whole way. But what I do need you to do is I need you to finish. Would you start? I got to thinking, what a great statement, because in a world where it seems to be a lot easier to quit than it is to finish, that's just an amazing kind of just tidbit of knowledge that he just kind of dropped. Like in a world where it's easy to give up on our families and our marriages and our jobs and our schooling and on our fill in the blank, right? Like the truth of the matter is that in all of our areas of life, we don't just need heroes, we need finishers. We need people that will finish what they start. On some level, we kind of understand this, right? Now, I am a consumer of television and movies. I like to watch those quite a bit. And you know as well as I do that when a movie tells an amazing story and then couples that with a terrible ending, like that movie is horrible, right? I'll tell you this. So my eldest daughter is 12 years old, which means that Jody and I are about 13 years behind on movies that aren't animated. And so from time to time, we'll sit down and we'll pick a movie that's been out for a decade, and we'll watch it. We decide to watch it. So the other night, we had a little date night where we stayed in, put the kids to bed, and we're like, let's watch a movie. And so we go through Netflix, and we found a movie called The Breakup. And I'm not saying you should watch it or not watch it. That's not what this is about. We watched it. And the story, it stars Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, and it's about 11 years old, so deal with me. But the story is that this couple seemed to be different, polar opposites, but then they got together, and it was just all lovey-dovey and wonderful, and everything seemed good, and then they got into a fight, and that fight escalated, and that fight got worse, and the next thing you know, they decided they were going to break up. And the comedy part of it is all of the hijinks that ensue, right? When they're trying to figure out money and all of the arrangements that go into the breakup. They have the same circle of friends, and so everything is just kind of weird and awkward. And the whole movie, Joe and I are sitting on the couch, like eating our popcorn on a little date, and we're watching, and I'm going, man, listen, this will be so good. They're going to get back together at the end, and it's going to be a Hollywood movie. Everybody's going to live happily ever after. Everything's going to be just incredible. And then they add a little bit more drama because they kind of go their separate ways. Jennifer Aniston moves away. Vince Vaughn stays in Chicago. Oh, man, that's going to be so amazing when finally they reconnect paths. And sure enough, at the end of the movie, they meet by happenstance on the sidewalk in Chicago. They talk to each other in kind of an awkward at first conversation. You look good, and you look good too. And glad things are going well. Congratulations on this. I heard about this. And then they went, well, it's good to talk to you. I'll see you later. And they turned around and walked in opposite directions, and they rolled credits. I'm on a date with my wife. I looked at her and was like, that's terrible. Like, what a terrible ending. Why would they do that to me and drag me through that entire movie and tell this beautiful love story only to have a see you later and walk away? Like, that's absolutely horrible, right? Like, otherwise, good movie. Listen, we know this. Those of you that watch TV and have been around for any amount of time, like, you realize that the way The Sopranos ended, the television show ended, like, sent people into conniptions because it was such a terrible ending. There were people that were saying that the Seinfeld cast needed to be actually put in jail because of how they ended the show. Like, it was absolutely horrendous. I gotta be honest with you, I love the television show Lost. I'm still confused as to what happened at the end. I have no idea what went on, right? I mean, come on. Dave Chappelle's show, which was a comedy show that you should watch, it was terrible. But Dave, he just quit. He's like, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to Africa later. And he's gone, like, and it was just over. Can I tell you something? Like, you can tell an amazing story and not finish the story well, and it leaves just a bad taste in your mouth, doesn't it? We don't need heroes. We just need finishers. Now, here's the thing that I want you to understand. Is that every day that you're alive, you're writing a story of your life. Today is one more page, and this week is one more chapter in it. And you may be telling a good story, you may not be telling a good story. That's neither here nor there. The question is, how are you going to finish your story? See, the first funeral that I ever preached was my mother-in-law's funeral. And it was really an easy funeral to preach. Not because secretly every man enjoys or dreams of preaching his mother-in-law's funeral. My mother-in-law had lived an amazing life, y'all. She had told an amazing story. The people that she had impacted and the lives that she had touched, the ministry that she had done, the advancement for the kingdom of God for her local congregation, like the way that she had impacted me and everyone that was around me, like it was amazing. And she finished well, right up to the very end. She finished well. So here's the thing that I want you to know. At some point in time, your kids are going to get up and they're going to tell your story. What story do you want them to tell? At some point in time, people are going to gather together and they're going to remember your life, how you lived it, and how you finished. Are you willing to finish well? So as we finish the series today, 100, we've encouraged you to give everything that you have, 100%, to the position that you've been put in, whether it's father, mother, sister, brother, employee, boss, whatever that may be. Give 100% to it, right? Give all that you got. We've talked about giving all that you have to your relationship with Christ and pouring back into your community. And today, we're going to talk about finishing that story well. We're going to talk about not giving up. And what we're going to determine is that the best stories are those that finish well. Best stories are those that finish well. And we're going to read a bit of a letter that a man named Paul, who wrote a little over half of the New Testament, he wrote this letter to what he would call his son in faith, Timothy, somebody he was very, very close to. And the letter is creatively named Timothy. Actually, it's 2 Timothy. It's the second letter he wrote to Timothy. And it is one of, if not the last bits of writing that we have from Paul. He was on death row in Rome. He would shortly be executed there. And he had some parting remarks for those he was closest to, and that's what 2 Timothy is. And we're going to be in chapter 4, which is at the very end of this last bit of writing that we have for Paul. And what he does in this last bit of writing is he talks about how he finished the task that God had in front of him. So let's take a look at it and read it from 2 Timothy chapter 4. We're going to begin in verse 6. This is what Paul said. For I am already being poured out like a drink offering, and the time for my departure is near. Now, this is really weird language, especially for 21st century Union City, Tennessee. If you want to kind of weird someone out and make them really confused about what you're saying, go up to them and say, I am being poured out like a drink offering. No one will know what you're talking about, okay? So we have to kind of understand what Paul is talking about here. A drink offering is an offering that was offered by the people of Israel under the Old Covenant to God as a sacrifice to Him. So what Paul is saying here is this: my life, all of it, has been a sacrifice to God. It was similar to what he said in Romans chapter 12, verse 1, where he encourages us to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice to God. And so what he's saying is, hey, everything that I have is being given to God, and it's all about to be gone. It's all being poured out. It's already happening right now. It is over. He says, the time for my departure is near. This is a nautical term. It's a term that sailors and ships would use when they're about to leave port to go out to sea. He's saying, hey, my time for departure, my time to get on board, my time to sail into the wild blue yonder, it is upon us. I am dying. That's exactly what he's saying. He knows he's dying. He knows that death is right there on the door. Now, the thing is that we are all dying. Paul knew that it was coming. When my grandfather died, my grandpa, we aren't exactly certain what happened, but it was not an expected death. He was battling lung cancer. He was in the early stages of that fight. And one minute he was sitting in his chair, the next minute he was asking my grandmother to call 911, and the next minute he was gone. Whether it was pulmonary embolism or an aneurysm, we have no clue exactly. It really doesn't matter. The thing is that we weren't expecting it. It was unexpected. It was sudden and it was quick. I mentioned Jody's mom earlier. She battled cancer for years. And in the last stages of that, she spent time in hospital beds, in her house, and hospice care coming in. And her death was something that was expected. We could see that coming on the horizon. We could kind of prepare for that. You understand? But so whether you know it's coming or whether you don't know it's coming, one way or another, death is coming for all of us. That's like really happy news, I guess. I don't know. Like it's coming for every single one of us. And the thing is this: if I were to send you home today and say, in 24 hours, we know you're going to die, you would go home and you would live differently, wouldn't you? If you only had 24 hours left on this earth, wouldn't there be some things that you would do now that you wouldn't normally do? Like you probably would skip the afternoon nap, right? I don't know. I would. I mean, you might go skydiving. Rocky Mountain climb. 2.7 seconds on a full man shoe. I don't know. You might. Right? But the thing is this, like, we know that if we only had a short amount of time, if we knew when the end was coming, we would live differently. Now, here's the question that is blowing my mind this week. You see, we all know that death is coming, and we don't know when. For some of you, it could be tomorrow. For some of you, it could be today. For some of you, it could be 10 or 15 or 50 years from now. We don't know, but we know it's coming. What's stopping us from living with our mortality in mind? And I'm going to do today the things that I would have done if I know I only have a short amount of time left. That's where Paul is. He knows what's coming. He knows what's coming. And in doing so, he wants to just download some information into Timothy's mind. And he pauses and does something right here that is very un-Paul-like. Look what he says in verse 7. Sorry. Look what he says in verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. And I have kept the faith. Now, normally when Paul talks about himself in his letters, he doesn't say good things. Normally he says, everything that would be good, I count as loss, as a dung heap, right? I get past all of the rubbish, I get past all of the garbage, and I get it's Jesus, and it's Jesus alone. That's what Paul says throughout all his letters. Now, if you look at life, he looks at Timothy, and he says, in short, we're going to work through all of this, but he says, I finished well. He starts out by saying, I fought the good fight. This is not a military term here. This is an athletic term. I wonder if Paul was an athlete or if he really liked sports, because he used a lot of analogies from athletics. He basically says, hey, look, there were things that I thought worth fighting for, and I fought for them. I was engaged in life struggles, and I went to work, and I fought on their behalf. And I think about that, and I go, that's pretty interesting, because some of our best movies, some of the most favorite movies, that they surround a fight of some sort, like a conflict of some sort. I'll tell you, I still get fired up when I hear, and I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, and the movie is older than I am, but when I hear the theme song from Rocky, I'm going to stop and watch Rocky, right? Doesn't matter what I'm doing, right? But can you imagine, my favorite Rocky movie is Rocky IV, because he's fighting the Russians. I don't know, back when I was a kid, that was a big deal. I guess anyway, he's fighting the Russians, and this Russian big guy, and he got to go to Russia to fight him. You remember that? And he gets all the way over there, and they give him all of these primitive ways that he can train over in Russia. And he's running through snow and trying to out-dodge KGB agents and all of that kind of thing. Rocky IV, you remember doing sit-ups, hanging from the rafters in his little cabin. Like, it was amazing. Can you imagine what it would have looked like if Rocky had done all of that training, gone through all of those difficulties, gone through all of the work that it took to get to the fight at the end of the movie, and then he didn't fight? See, I think sometimes we spend a lot of time coming and sitting and being fed and training. We spend a lot of time going to Bible study after Bible study and going to service after service after service and getting trained for the fight that we never engage in. It wouldn't be a good movie if he didn't go fight the Russian, right? I mean, come on. It just wouldn't be. And the thing that Paul is saying is, hey, look, there's some things worth fighting for, and I'm engaged in those fights. Listen, your family is worth fighting for. Your marriage is worth fighting for. The kingdom of God is worth fighting for. Your church is worth fighting for. Your friendships and your relationships are worth fighting for. The poor are worth fighting for. The helpless, the hopeless, they're worth fighting for. And what a great story that Paul can get to the end of his life and go, guys, I fought the good fight. I laid it out there and I let it all loose. The thing that I love about what Paul says is he says, fought the fight. He doesn't say he won every fight. You may remember the first Rocky movie. You love that movie, right? Do you remember that when Rocky got into the ring to fight Apollo Creed, and it comes down to the end of the match, it's a split decision, you ready? And Rocky loses. But we don't remember that part. We remember him in the ring with swollen eyes yelling, Adrian! Right? We remember that, right? Because look, you don't have to watch the Sunday. You don't have to win the fight. You just have to engage in the fight. One of the best football movies of all time. In fact, it's on everyone's list of best high school movies of all time. It's a movie called Friday Night Lights, which tells the story of Perryman High School in Odessa, Texas. And if you've ever experienced high school football in Odessa, Texas, you get it. Right? I get it anywhere in Texas, to be honest with you. And it tells their story of all the struggle that they go through in the community, the town, the rivalries, and they finally make it into the state playoffs, and they're playing in Texas Stadium, which is not now in Arlington. Then it was in urban Texas, and they're playing there, and they go and they play this game. They're so excited and pumped up, and their fans are there, and the whole town is behind Perryman High School. And do you remember what happens at the end? The last scene of the movie is the football player reaching out with the ball, trying to cross the goal line, and coming up short. They didn't win the game. They didn't win the game. See, what Paul wants us to understand is this. It's so important. You don't have to win the fight to write a good story. You just have to be willing to give it all. You just have to be willing to sacrifice it all. You just have to be willing to engage in the fight. I can remember having a conversation with one of my best friends, Zach, right when I was finishing seminary and getting ready full-time, my first full-time ministry job. Zach and I were talking about ministry strategy. Both of us had come out of very traditional churches, and that was really how we were wired. And Zach and I were talking about reaching lost people in our community. This was 17 years ago, and I can remember standing in the living room with tears in my face. I said this to Zach: Zach, one day I'm going to give an account of how I led God's people. One day I'm going to give an account of how I led His church. And can I tell you something? I would rather stand before God and say I tried and failed than to stand before God and say I didn't even try. There's a fight to engage in. Paul said, I fought the good fight. Then he comes back and he gives you another analogy. He says, I've not only fought the good fight, I finished the race. Now, how many of you guys have ever been involved in a foot race? Come on. How many of you have ever been involved in a foot race? Everybody's been involved in a foot race. I can remember my favorite foot race of all time was with my father. I was really good in my younger days at talking trash. And so I was talking some trash to my dad. He was an old man at the time, and I was talking about how fast I was, which I wasn't too slow back in the day. I had a little bit, before they took part of my money out. Anyway, so, which is not, okay, so anyway, I used to be fast, and my dad was like, man, you're not that fast. And I was like, let's go right now. Kids, you say that to your parents, you never expect them to take you up. And Dad was like, okay, let's go race right now. I was like, what? Racing? He's like, yeah, Dad, you're going to embarrass yourself. I can remember talking trash to him. And so we go up onto the street in front of our house. We lived out in the country. There's nobody driving the road. And we get to the street, and we're going to race to the driveway. Do you remember this? Or we're going to race to the driveway. My mom's here. And we're going to race to the driveway. And I'm like, Dad, you sure you want to do this? Maybe you should stretch a little bit. I don't want you to pull something, And Dad was like, no, man, let's go. And so Dad is in, blue jeans. And old man tennis shoes, you know what I'm talking about? So I was like, man, this is going to be easy. I don't know what he's talking about. And so we get kind of ready on mark and set go, and I was quit, man, out the gate. I was going. And I was like, I'm going to blow him out of the water. And I can't see anything but the driveway in front of me. And I am just booking it down the road. And all of a sudden, you hear this. It's like a wind blowing at your back. And it's just this, right? And he just blows right past me and beats the tar out of me. It wasn't even close. He beat me so bad. You see, the thing is, when we hear the race stories, we kind of think about winning and losing the race. Paul doesn't say, it's so important, Paul doesn't say, I won the race. Paul says, I finished the race. We don't need heroes. We just need finishers. One of the best Olympic moments of my life was in 1992. In 1992, there was a British runner out, and his name was Derek Redmond. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. Derek had come into the 1992 Olympics the fastest 400-meter runner. He was blazing fast. He was the favorite by a lot of counts, probably not all counts, to win the gold medal in the 400-meter race. It wasn't a medley. He ran it by himself. That was it. And so the gun goes off, and they begin the race, and he goes around. As he's making the final turn, he's running as fast as he can in this 400-meter race, and all of a sudden he slows up, and he comes up. He had not pulled a hamstring. He had torn his hamstring. It made it the biggest race of his life. I know you've seen the video. It's super famous. He falls down on the track. Of course, the camera's on him. Everybody's watching. Oh, what's going on? And he gets up with a torn hamstring and begins to hobble towards the finish line. His dad, his name's Jim, jumped. I don't know how this happened. Worst security in the history of the Olympics, right? Jumps out of the stands, blows right past security, and runs out onto the track. And he puts his arm around him, and he helps his son finish the last 100 meters or so to the finish line. He didn't get a medal that day. He didn't place that day. He didn't even have an official time. He was disqualified because his dad came out on the track. But he finished the race. And can I tell you, that's the story people tell about the 1992 Olympic 400-meter race. I don't know who won gold, silver, or bronze, but I know his story, and I've seen his video. Because it's not about winning and losing. It's about finishing the race. He gives us one more analogy. He says, I have kept the faith. I've kept the faith. This is not like a set of beliefs. This is not like a doctrinal statement, like I've kept a doctrinal statement or a creed. That's not what he's saying here. He's saying, I've kept faith in my God. That what is to come is better than what is now. What is to come is better. And I have faith that although I can go through a bunch of junk and a bunch of trials and a bunch of pain and a bunch of hurt, let me tell you, it's going to be better. And I have faith that God is going to do what it is He said He was going to do. Listen, I think sometimes we just need a big dose of faith. And I am the worst person in the world for it. This year, I told you, I got to coach my girls' 10 and under girls softball team. Abigail was on the team. Emma is older than that, which hurts my heart anyway, but that's not neither here nor there. And I was coaching the team. And listen, I told you that at the beginning of the season, and Abby would attest this, we didn't think we were going to be that good. But by God's grace, we developed over the year. We had some really talented girls, and we ended up in the championship game of our age division over here in Union City, Grand Park. We're in the championship game. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think we had a chance to win it at all. I didn't think we'd be in the game. I was just happy to be the team we were playing, best team in the league. They were really, really good. I'm sure there's going to be like some USA Olympians that come off that team. They're that good, okay? And we were good. We were fun. We had fun, but it was just a different kind of thing. And so I can remember before the game talking to the girls. Listen, we're going to go out there. We're going to play our best, do our best. We're going to have fun. I'm so proud of you that you got here. Win or lose, right? That's kind of the talk that I had. Well, we play in Union City a time limit. There's a 65-minute or a 75-minute, depending on who the umpire is, time limit in Union City. And when the time limit is over and the end of the inning happens, or the home team comes up the bat, whoever's winning, the game is over. Well, we were down by 3 runs, and there was 60 seconds left on the clock. And if we took the field, if we got up to bat and they took the field in quick enough time, we would play one more inning. There's only 60 seconds left. I looked at the scoreboard. I'm so ashamed of this. I looked at the scoreboard, and we were down by 3. You can only score 5 runs per inning. That would only put us up by 2. They were definitely going to score 2 in the next inning. And the coach came to me. He's like, "Hey, man," the other coach is like, "Hey, we got 60 seconds. Do you want to play this?" And I was like, "This is what I said. No, man, just call it. It's fine. Just call it." The umpire came up. Y'all going to play or not? And I was like, "It's fine, whatever he wants to do. We can call it if you want." And the other coach went, "You know what? Championship game. Let's play. 60 seconds left. Let's play one more inning, right?" Okay. So we bring our girls up. It's the bottom of our lineup, right? And they come up, and they all get on base. And the people after that got on base. And next thing you know, we scored 5 runs in that inning. And we went up by 2 runs going to the bottom of the last inning. Now, I'm going, they're going to score 5 runs. Listen, it'll be good this way. They get to do like a walk-off base hit. It'll be incredible. That'll be good. Girls, I'm so proud of you. Go out and play some defense. My pitcher, her name was Abby. Abby, just throw some strikes. Let them hit the ball. We're out here having fun, right? I had zero faith that we could pull it off. First batter pops it up to the pitcher. Next batter, ground ball to shortstop. They throw it out. All of a sudden, we got 2 outs. Now all of a sudden, I'm going, wait a minute, right? They score a run, score another run, and on a drop third strike where the batter can run, they scored the 3rd run that gave them the game in by 1 run. Can I tell you something? It's bad when the opposing coach has more faith in your team than you do. But that's where I was that day. But can I tell you something? Paul never gave up faith. He would never give up faith on his softball team, but he definitely didn't give up faith in God. He knew what God had promised him, and he was going to hold on to that. He was going to fight the fight, finish the race. He kept the faith. And then he says this, verse 8, he says, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award me on that day, not only to me, but to all who have longed for his appearing." He said, "Now, because I've been faithful, because I finished the fight, because I finished the race, now there's a reward for me in heaven." This isn't a salvation issue. Paul's not saying that I'm going to get the reward and that's my salvation. He's saying that there's something else. Like God's going to reward me for fighting. He's going to reward me for staying in the race. He's going to reward me for keeping the faith. And all who fall into that same category get the same reward. Listen. In order to give it all you got. You don't have to win the race. You just have to finish the race. You don't have to win the fight. You just have to engage in the battle. You've got to always remember, God is going to do what He said He's going to do. You have to finish well. Because the best stories finish well. Here's the question. Right now, what story are you telling? Right now, are there parts of your story where you're going, yeah, I'm engaged in the fight? But are there other parts of your life where you've kind of disengaged? You stopped fighting for your kids. You stopped fighting for your wife. You stopped fighting for your husband. You stopped fighting for justice and peace. You stopped fighting. And you just checked out. Let me tell you, the best stories are the ones that finish well. You don't have to win the fight. You just have to fight. Where are the areas where you've long since checked out of the race? And there's this hurdle and you just can't get over it. There's this injury and you just can't get over it. Someone hurt you along the way and you can't seem to move past it. You can't seem to get past the obstacles that are there. And all you see are roadblocks. And as a result, you've checked out of the race. I can't overcome the addiction on my own. And so as a result, I'm just going to check out and just give in. Where is it? Where is it? You have stopped running the race because the best stories are those that finish well. So here's the thing. One day, your children, your grandchildren, the people you love, are going to stand up and they're going to tell the story of your life. What is it that you want them to say? What is the story that you want them to tell? Someone that should have done more, could have done more, I wish they'd have done more? Or will they be able to say something along the lines of, listen, they didn't win every battle, but they never stopped fighting. Hey, they didn't win every race, but they never stopped running for the long haul. And hey, things got really bad sometimes, but they kept their faith in God through it all. God, we're going to live life that way. If we're going to finish well, we're going to need some help. We're going to need to look at our Heavenly Father and say to Him, sometimes, God, I'm going to need your help to keep the faith. Sometimes I'm going to need your help to keep me fighting. Sometimes I'm going to need your help to help me cross the finish line that you've laid out for me. But God, instead of pushing back from you, I'm going to lean into you and say, with my life, I'm going to trust you with all of it. With my life, I'm going to trust you all. I'm going to give it all to you, and I'm going to let you do with it what you want. And you use me in whatever way it is to advance your kingdom and to further your kingdom and to make your name famous in my community. And if it means that it's a hard race, then I'll run it with your help. If it means it's a tough fight and I get knocked out a couple times, I'll fight the fight with your help. And God, even though there's times where I'm going to get angry and frustrated and even mad at you and want to push back in my faith, I will not give up the faith. You will be with me. But that involves you leaning into God and saying, God, I'm going to trust you with it all. And that's really what it's been about. That's really what the whole series has been about. God made you with a plan, a purpose. God made you with a race to run and a battle to fight, a commission to fulfill. I don't want you to get to the end of your life and say, I wish I had done more. I want you to live it all 100% right now. To do that, you're going to have to trust Him. So Matt is going to come. He's going to lead us in a song that we've sung a number of times here. And as we sing that song today, I'm going to ask you to make that song the prayer of your heart. We say that a lot. But make the words that you sing not just be words on the screen that you're singing because everybody else is singing. In fact, if that's you, just hang out and listen. What I want you to do is I want you to say this prayer. I trust it all, God, to you. This is my heart, my prayer to you. That God, I want a good story. And the best stories finish well. Let me pray. God, I thank you so much that you have empowered us and filled us with your Spirit in such a way so that we can accomplish the task that you have before us. God, there's races to run and there's battles to fight. It's a lot easier just to quit. It's a lot easier just to sit in a seat and get fed every week. It's a lot easier just to come and hang out at church and hear good music or whatever it is. God, it's so easy to push back completely and entirely and hang out in bed or on the couch or whatever it is that we do. God, it's so easy to not give 100% of our lives to you. God, we come as a congregation to you today. We recognize that you want 100% of us. You want it all. And we confess that that's going to be hard for us. We so naturally want to depend on ourselves, our ability to earn money, our ability to handle and manipulate relationships, situations, and circumstances. So God, as hard as it's going to be, we ask that you come and you change our hearts. Bring them closer to you, that we might become more like you. Help us to trust you so that we finish well. Because God, we want to write a good story, and the best stories finish well. So God, may the words of these songs, this song, be a prayer of our heart. May you be honored. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.